Power it through. Kiran Rai here, Arsalan Shah, Rao Pereira, and we've got the fantastic ARY news anchor, Waseem Badami. Mr. Badami, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, very good. Mr. Badami, so let me ask you a couple of questions. We've talked about, I know I've spoke to you before in the past, maybe about 6 months ago, we spoke about, coronavirus, etc., and your opinion about it. But I just want to know from your perspective now, obviously as an anchor, being on news, having 3.7 million people, meeting lots of different kind of political people, having a political show. Do you think the government in Pakistan and India, do you think they've worked way too slow? Because I saw a report recently that you talked about, was it that, they opened it too quickly, too eager to rush. Tell me about what you were saying.
Yes, I believe things could have been handled in a much better way than they were, especially because in case of Pakistan and India, we had case studies to follow as well. We knew what exactly happened in China. We knew what exactly happened in Italy. We knew what exactly happened in US, UK. So we had many case studies, and we could have, we could have made our decisions accordingly. B, we had enough time to prepare. When I say prepare, I mean we had enough time to strengthen our health system. I think unfortunately we failed on both accounts. And then I think not only the decision of lockdown was not made timely, but the bigger problem was when we had lockdown, even then it was not a lockdown. It was not a proper lockdown. So, we could see the lockdown being violated very easily everywhere. So proper lockdown was imposed only for a few days. Now, when I say this, I know that the argument on the other side also makes sense, that it is very easy for us to say that a lockdown should be implemented. But when we do a lockdown, the cycle of economy stops and a large chunk of society gets very badly affected. I know it, of course. But then the other side of this is that if we do not have a proper lockdown, and then if this virus spreads, we know there is an exponential growth, we know it multiplies, then there may occur a situation where we will have to deal with two problems, not only corona, but starvation as well, but hunger as well. So I think governments in Pakistan and India, of course, I would talk more about Pakistan, we could have made such arrangements where we could have imposed a strict lockdown. Then we could have reviewed the policy of lockdown. Then, like recently, WHO has also written a letter to our government in which they have suggested that we should go for periodic lockdowns, 2 weeks lockdown, and so something like that. And C, number 3, during the lockdowns, the government could have made a better efforts to make sure that people are not affecting from hunger. So I think, unfortunately, we failed on all these accounts, and now we are.
Do you think it was more? Do you think the government in Pakistan? Let's just talk for Pakistan, for instance. Then, do you think it was more a financial gain, knowing that if they open it up quickly, they can get the economy running again? Because right now, in my opinion, the English government here, the UK government, because we're on democracy over here, us British citizens, we are not scared to be vocal. People are not scared to be vocal. Now, my opinion about the UK government here, they've done the best they can. They've opened up way too quick. They haven't had PPE kits. Thousands of people died. 42,000?
Yeah, over 40,000.
40,000 people died. Care homes, they didn't have the numbers. When Piers Morgan, dear friend of mine, didn't ask a couple of health ministers, and they all said, well, we think it might be, what do you mean you think? You should know these answers. This is your thing. Do you think governments, yes, they weren't prepared for this, but do you think they were being unprofessional and more about financial gain, at the moment? About just opening up, make money? Because right now, to my eyes, it looks like the wealth is more important than people's health.
Yeah, so interestingly, very same was the debate, and it is the debate in Pakistan as well. Now, I'll address the issue in this way. I will not say that my government wanted financial gain. I do not have any doubt on their intention. My prime minister was very much worried about, people dying of hunger, and because of economy having already suffering from problems. Like, we have just recently posted a minus 0.4% GDP growth for the fiscal year, which we will just end in June. And World Bank believes that it is not going to be minus 0.4%. It is going to be minus 2%. And even last year, we had an economic growth of only 1.9%. So economy was already suffering. So they were more worried that if the economy gets affected because of the lockdown, then it is going to get worse and people will suffer more. So I have no doubt on their intention. But my point is that, the strategy could have been smarter. They are talking about a smart lockdown in my country. I think the strategy could have been smarter. It should have been a combination of both. I think the Prime Minister of Pakistan, I disagree. As you said, there's democracy in your country, the democracy in my country. I have all the right to agree or disagree. So I do not have doubt on his intentions, but I think I disagree with his idea that he is not very much in favor of lockdown. Again, I would say, I understand that when we go for lockdown, many people suffer. But what if we don't go for a lockdown? So I think we could have, and then again, there were a few statements which were contradicting each other. The head of the government could have, given his message in a much clear and smarter way than it was given. And last but not the least, even when the lockdown was lifted after a few days, one thing for which I really blame my provincial and federal governments was the SOPs were being violated very, very openly, and there was no one to stop them. We are making efforts for them now, but it is a bit too late now, I'm afraid. So when the Prime Minister knew, when the federal governments knew that we are going to relax the lockdown, one thing which they could have made sure is that the SOPs are strictly followed, and if they're violated, strict action should have been taken. It was not done. SOPs were violated, and I'm afraid we see the results now. And before you go for next question, just one suggestion that I hope we are recording this because I'm just afraid of my internet connection. So if there is any problem, we just
Rav, question after you.
Yeah, Waseem, great to be able to speak to you. As a presenter, you carry a lot of weight with the Pakistani people. Your opinion and kind of your experience. I must say to you that our British government did well for the people because they did kind of give people 80%. They were made furloughed. 80% salaries were paid, and many people didn't really have to go to jobs unless they were essential, like the NHS and those key workers. So, although they made some errors as far as I'm concerned, I think they were too slow. Maybe they could have looked at what's happening in the rest of the world. But when you look at the bigger picture, like I explained to you, when I was in the USA, just come back on the 6th of March, and I can say to you, I didn't see anything about coronavirus. Nobody was cared about there. Come back to the UK, it was the same. Nobody was wearing any mask, or nobody, although people talked about it, really there was nothing about that seriousness. It's only like after 2 weeks' time. And then, of course, you've seen President Donald Trump. You heard him talking about
disinfecting,
basically, disinfection, talking about it will go away in the summer, and many things like this way. And when you take into consideration, like we've been talking to Sri Lankan people, like yourself, and how they say that how their government has managed to control, had a completely like a curfew for nearly 3 months, and then how they managed to keep their numbers down to less than 20 deaths and less than 2,000 people, affected. So my question to you is, I'm not trying to pick things up, but I just want to know, is it globally, each government done their own way of managing? Do you think those leaders done well, or do you think Pakistan should have done a lot differently than what is it now?
Yeah, so I think as a student of journalism, I think Corona has very interesting case studies which differ from country to country, how every country has tackled, has dealt with it. When people here in my country give me example of UK and USA, I ask them to please, stop, because these are not good examples to follow. I think the way head of the states in UK and USA were dealing with this disease, to say the least, I would say it was very non-serious and immature attitude. I remember Boris Johnson saying that, I was shaking hands with people, and, I remember the statements of Donald Trump. And unfortunately, there were a few statements from our side as well, which were not very serious, and they were rather confusing. They were giving an idea that it is not that serious a disease. And now again, in a country like Pakistan, where unfortunately people buy conspiracy theories very easily, when people got this impression from the government that it is not a very serious thing to deal with, they're not getting this impression now, but earlier, then they were more, reluctant to follow the SOPs. So yes, I believe that these countries which you just mentioned, and unfortunately, I think this part of the world also, they are not dealing it the way it should have been. And
What's your
I'm
opinion
afraid
about,
that
what's your opinion? I know, we're discussing this, but what's your opinion about Donald Trump? Direct question, just straight to the answer. What is your opinion about Donald Trump? Because my opinion about him is he's got a bit of a, he was talking about, trying to get rid of coronavirus before Easter so he could have his turkey around the table with the family. And then he was saying stuff like drinking, disinfecting to get rid of coronavirus. Do you agree with stuff that he says?
Unfortunately, I don't, not at all. So, when you're the head of states of United States of America, you have a lot of responsibility. So to start with, he called it Chinese virus, and he repeatedly called it Chinese virus, which was very surprising for me. And then we saw how it spread. And I hate to say this, but as we speak, United States of America is the most affected country as far as deaths are concerned.
I think that was racist. Would you call that racist when he said Chinese virus? Would you call that racist?
I would say this is how he is. So interestingly, I'll share with you one scenario. I was in America to cover U.S. elections. So I have covered U.S. election. So I asked these kind of questions to people who were lobbying at that time for Donald Trump. And I'll tell you what they answered, and I kind of agreed with them. They also agreed. They said that yes, many or few of his statements may not be very good statements to be, which a head of United States of America should make. At that time, he was just a candidate. He was not the president. But, he's a kind of man that he would just say what he thinks. I may not go to the extent of calling it a racist statement, but yet I would call it a irresponsible statement.
Well, he said to a journalist, a Chinese journalist or Japanese or Asian journalist, he went, "It's China. China. You need to ask China." He said it in a viral video that went to... but the way he said it was very derogative. He said it in a way that quite aggressive, passive aggression.
I agree with that. Like, not only this, but many other things, including coronavirus. I think he could have and he should have dealt with it in a very serious and a very mature manner, which unfortunately never happened.
Ralph, question after you.
Yes, yeah. This coronavirus issue, it's not going to go away because, we don't have a vaccine. We don't have a solution. The only people who have been affected is like 5-6 million or something, So with a 7.5 billion population in the world, this is a big, big issue we're going to face because all of us have to find a way how to solve this, distancing, unable to stay with our family or meet family, friends, normalcy, So although, we want to kind of move away from there and, find other ways to live, but this is something we have to deal with. So for me, for somebody like you who are able to ask many questions from many people, whether they are political or whether they are entertainers or whether they are normal public, are you able to stand up and question the key people, who are responsible in this world and really, that they will do the right thing for their people, whether it doesn't matter whether they are poor, rich, or whatever. At the end of the day, we need to be able to make people accountable. Do you kind of think that you can get this message to many people around the world and also including Pakistan?
Yes, precisely about Pakistan, I would say the good part is that I am able to ask all the questions I want to, and able to ask them to all the people I want to. Like recently, I even got a chance to speak to the Prime Minister of Pakistan live on television. He was our guest in a marathon transmission. So that's the good part. And I would not say the bad, but the other side of the story is that we can ask all the questions we ask, but the answers are always not very much satisfactory. Well, they, of course, they are sure that whatever they are saying is correct.
Can you also tell? Waseem, sorry to interrupt you there. Can you tell me because I see all the time, and I saw it on ARY News a lot, and I saw it on all the breaking news channels about a year and a half ago, just before I went to India. What is the problem between India and Pakistan? I'd love to know your opinion, because I'm sure that you've covered this many, many times. I never understand. We're all the same people. We all speak the same language. We all speak Urdu, Punjabi, Hindi, whatever. We're all the same people. We all have the same mentality in a way, right? We have the same food. We have the same people. What is the problem? I know we're fighting over, you know, Kashmir. I think that's right. I mean, Kashmir or something like that. But what is the problem? Why are we having these problems, and what needs to be resolved?
See, now, so of course the basic problem is the Kashmir issue, of course, and Pakistan and India both have their positions on it. And, you know, Pakistan, I think, has a very valid point that, you know, even if you go through the resolution of United Nations, then also many problems will be solved. And India has, you know, India would never agree to that. But I think you may agree or not agree, I don't know, or, you know, I would leave it up to the viewer. But here I would say that, unfortunately, like, you know, I would disagree with my governments on many, you know, on many points with the current and the previous government. But in this particular regard, I actually believe, and trust me, I actually believe it, that, you know, there were repeated efforts made by the government of Pakistan to ease these tensions. But unfortunately, they were never reciprocated. Like the previous Prime Minister of Pakistan, Nawaz Sharif, he is repeatedly blamed by the opposition of Pakistan that he is so much pro Narendra Modi. He is so much pro India because he is always so sympathetic, and he always is a soft corner towards India. Now come to the current Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan. When he came into power, you know, so we had this Kartarpur corridor opening. The army chief of Pakistan himself went there. Prime Minister of Pakistan went there. So I think there were repeated actions from Pakistan, which were unfortunately never reciprocated. And in fact, like you know, even recently, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, again, you can agree or disagree with him on that, but he said that, you know, situation in India regarding Corona is not very good, and I can extend my help or support to India. Now, one can disagree with Prime Minister of Pakistan on this, but the statement which came from the other side of the border in response to this statement from Pakistan's Prime Minister was, again, I think, you know, very much immature. So problem between people of the two countries is for sure not that severe. Problem between elite is, you know, serious. And do
you think China, because I know there's going to be some talks about China owing back trillions and trillions. There's lots of people in the public now saying China needs to owe Britain, England, the world, trillions of dollars back, pounds back into the economy, because end of the day, it isn't our fault. What's your opinion about it? Do you think they have to be accountable for what they've done?
Like you're asking in the context of economy generally, or in the context of Corona specifically?
Yeah, Corona especially. I mean, I'm actually, hang on. The finance behind it, yes, the economy, because our economy's gone down. Millions and millions, thousands of businesses have gone out of things. Zara's gone out. Frankie and Benny's have lost 128 restaurants. People's businesses, people that can't afford to now having to go to food banks. I know many of my friends who have to go to food banks in London to have to go and pick up food, and they were wealthy before. Now their business is going down. You know, people's business, the economy is suffering on the basis of them. Now, I'm not going to shy away from this, when they managed to sort out Wuhan or China, they blocked the borders and went, right, it's not our problem now. It's up to you. No one's allowed to come in. Like, we wanted to go there. That shows to me arrogance. I'm appalled by that, but that showed to me arrogance. What's your opinion about that?
Okay, so my opinion would be very realistic, you know, rather than what sounds good on books. I think, you know, it's a very selfish world, and every country would, and every country should care about himself and his nation and his people. Again, I would say, you know, practically, you know, this is what I'm saying is a practical approach. So I would appreciate every nation would it is level best to save his people, and I think every nation should have done the same.
But do you think they should be accountable for the? Do you think they should be accountable for the economy right now in the entire world? Do you think they need to start looking at, you know, you're paying back the economy for what's happened and for what they've done?
Not really. I believe not really, because I do not, you know, I don't agree with many people who believe that it was a conspiracy or something like that. So it was a disease, it was a virus which emerged from that part of the world. It could have been the case in any other part of the world. They tried their best to, you know, contain it in their way. And I'm sure there was no intentional effort from any country.
Actually, Waseem, I have to disagree with you there, because to be honest, they didn't. They didn't. They did this for years and years and years. I mean, apparently it started from Wuhan market.
Actually, the
Yeah.
facts what we know is that it actually started in a lab because they were testing with bats. Okay, I'm working with a scientist on a coronavirus project. Okay, but what I understand is it started in Wuhan, and the Chinese government knew about it, and it was kind of there was a gap, there was a timeline about 1 week or 2 weeks or something, where they didn't tell the WHO because these are coming out. But the major issue has been is that they didn't allow key scientists to go to China at the time that we are not talking about when they allowed them, that before when they really knew, they didn't get it out. So they created a kind of a vacuum at a certain time. At that time, many people were working in Italy, and all these people are going backwards, forwards, etc. And there was so this is the reason many.
And they also knew. Ralph, they also knew.
Many people, many lawyers in the USA already have filed cases of billions and billions of dollars. Our British government doesn't talk about it yet because they're waiting until everything's settled, and then they will look at what are the evidence. The Australian government already talked about for the Chinese to have a saying that that you need to allow an international inquiry. Where the Chinese, what they did was they slapped them up with trade barriers and things like that because they came up with this idea. So do you think that the Chinese are doing the right thing? When somebody's asking for international inquiry.
So now this is very interesting. I did a program on Corona when it was only in China, and we discussed all this history of coronavirus, that how it started from a bat market in China and all that. Now, how I see is, I also heard all these things which you just mentioned. I also remember Donald Trump saying, that China did not do its part, and they could have informed World Health Organization on time, and then a lot of loss could have been avoided. I am someone who would not buy things easily. So I'm still waiting for some credible and actual information on that. Right now, as we speak, I think it is your word against my word. I would say your guess is as good as my guess.
But it's not our word, because you know what? with all due respect, Donald Trump even said at the start that he's going to stop the cuts and the funding to go into WHO. And also at the same time, they said they knew. Apparently, this is what the sources, the media journalists are the one who investigate. I'm sorry, but they say the government knows everything. Actually, the journalists like me and you and Ralph and Arsalan and every people, we're the ones who find out the information. It's not them. Yeah, our health minister didn't even know that there was. Okay, I don't know what the figure was now because it was a long time ago, but apparently it was 60 bus drivers. Just imagine, I think it was 60 or something bus drivers that died of coronavirus. But the health minister, one of the health ministers, I forgot her name, but she said, I think it was 7. They don't know the answers. They don't know the figures. It's us, the one who knows. We're the one who investigate. So Wuhan, they knew what was going on because they've been doing this trading. The dogs, the cats, they've been, you can see in a documentary that they're not wearing gloves, so it's contaminating. If that is the case, I don't know until it's either conspiracy right now, if it was biologically done apparently this theory is about to increase the population. What's your opinion about the increasing population theory? Do you think that's true?
Yeah, so I believe that your point is that, if for a moment I agree to what you are saying, then the conclusion is that China, knowing that it would have what consequences it would have,
of course,
they intentionally, let it happen. I would only believe it when something very credible comes in front of me. Now, many journalists will have a different opinion. Many journalists will have an opinion what you have. And I know exactly what you are saying, that, many sources claim what you just said. Because there are so many conspiracy theories going around right now. In my part of the world, there are many people who actually believe that my government is actually killing people because they get $3,000 per patient of corona. And there are many people who believe it.
Do you think that's true? Do you think that's true? Waseem, do you think
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. So I think the situation is so much complex and sensitive that I would only believe to the information which is 100% true. Till that, I will not buy any conspiracy theory. That's why I tend to a bit disagree with you on that.
And also in England, there's a lot of conspiracy about saying that coronavirus isn't true. It's just a myth. It's just to control us. I'm just telling you the truth. What people say. people also saying this vaccine. Now, what's your opinion about the vaccine? I want to know what your opinion about the vaccine is, because apparently, according to YouTube videos, I know YouTube, I never believe anything on YouTube, but apparently, according to some people that have investigated it, there is something on our list that says it's mandatory to have vaccine. What do you think about the vaccine? Do you think that you think there's ever going to be a designed vaccine, or because right now we don't know if there's going to be? We don't even know what it is. People just think it's you know. What's your opinion?
You are very right that every other day we are finding something very new about corona. Like, I was personally surprised when I read and listened to this revised guideline of WHO that they are not sure if asymptomatic patients transfer the virus or not. Now, this was so surprising for me, because this is completely, because not to forget what was the basic idea behind the lockdown, that people are transferring it. Now, if WHO is having this idea now, this is very surprising for me. So my point is that every other day we are coming up with a new study. There was a time 2 months back when everyone thought, not everyone, but there was a thought that, you know, when the summers would be at its peak, this virus may get affected. Now in Pakistan, it's hot like anything these days, and you know, corona is also increasing. So about vaccine also, I would say that, you know, there is nothing can be said with finality. I am sure vaccine would be designed. When, I am not sure. But again, regarding vaccine, in my part of the world also, there are many conspiracy theories to which I don't believe, because of a very simple fact that, you know, I am someone who would only believe on information which is very much you know, reliable for me, and I will not buy conspiracy theories very easily.
And do you believe in the vaccine? Do you think that's the cure? Do you think this is going to be it, or do you think it's just a, you know, because apparently according to other sources out there, it's to monitor us, to keep us informed, to keep us knowing what we're doing?
Many people in my country also think so. I do not agree, and I think there will be a vaccine. When, I don't know, but there will be a vaccine, and it will be a vaccine, not anything else.
Well, I've a couple of questions after you. This is an amazing conversation.
Yeah, I mean, actually, what I want to know is, Waseem, do you think, okay, that the world, the international world of countries should have an inquiry, you know, inquiry that is backed by all the key countries, you know, that is, I mean, including even countries like Pakistan, okay, that what the Australian government is asking, that's something that is unbiased, right? Okay, they can go there and find a solution for this, because over 200 countries, everybody being affected. We are here talking to you today like this because of this issue. Otherwise, you know, we'll be doing something else maybe now at this time of the night. So do you think there should be an international inquiry like the Australians are asking?
100%. Like, the way I am saying that I am not buying any conspiracy theory, and therefore I'm not blaming China. But at the same time, I would say 100% there should be an inquiry. There should be a tribunal or whatever, which should consist from people from every part of the world. Everyone should agree to that committee. That committee or that commission should be given access to wherever they want to. And because, you know, in the recent history of mankind, it is the biggest problem, I think. So if there should not be an inquiry on this particular subject, then no other subject deserves an inquiry. So yes, I am for inquiry. 101% it should be done.
Last question for you. Despite politics, and you know what, you've handled yourself very well, because me and Ralph gave you a bit of a grilling, but you, man, you've got skin of fire, man. I tell you, I don't know anyone who would have, because most people when they see me, they're quite scared of me. They're like, Kira's on it, man. He's got these green eyes. He's ready to go. But you've handled yourself very well, you know. Now the question is, I want to ask you one more question.
Mm-hmm.
What do you hope after lockdown opens? Do you think the social distancing is this gonna be part of our life now? Do you think this is gonna be part of our life? Not shaking hands, you know, as Muslims, as Hindus, you know, we shake each other's hands, we hug each other, we embrace each other, Christians, etc. Now, not just talking about religion-wise, but I'm talking about humans are meant to socialize. We are not meant for this to talk over Zoom. We are not meant for this. We are meant to be around people and be around. Do you hope this breaks, or do you think this is it? This is our life now?
I really hope that it ends, but I hate to say this, and I really hope that I'm wrong. but I think this is not happening anytime soon. I think now this is a new normal for our society. I think, I think now we'll be seeing restaurants where it will be very normal that, one table is empty and one table is occupied. I think we are going to travel in airlines and flights where it will be very normal that one seat is vacant and one seat is occupied. I think we are now going to live in a world where it will be very normal, where we are not shaking hands, not hugging, but just saying.
Oh no, he's gone.
Wait.
Hello. And I just I think it's very important that people get the answer, and there are people get that kind of that voice, and it's great to see someone like yourself doing so well. So I want to say thank you so much again for your time.
Alhamdulillah, thank you so much for your kind words. Thank you so much. It was nice talking to you.
Let me